Mm. Shalom, shalom. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, before we get started with this lesson, I want to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rekakwadash, Call Halal, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai. Okay, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Heavenly Father and the only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly and foolishly calls God and Jesus. Okay, in the Lashawan Kodash, the holy language. Okay, the Paleo Hebrew. All right, which is a prophecy. Okay, that we would all call on the name in his pure, okay, in the pure language, Zephaniah 3:9. All right, in these last seconds, okay, before the salvation is okay, comes upon us. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles. Okay, and sincere shalom again to the hopeful elect. All right, which you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, as well as the Israelite, foreigner, Gentile, that might look like the heathen, you are the true biblical Israelites. And today, I'm going to try to condense this lesson as much as I can. This will be titled, let's see what I had in my notes. Okay, Prison 10 Days. Okay, so I want to show you a few, just give us a few testimonies. Okay, because I had to do 90 days in the LA County jail when I first came into this truth, and it was unjust. It was unjust. So let me play this first. Let me play a clip of this brother's video. This brother Amawan Gabar out of the New York camp. You know, the scriptures tell us to comfort one another with these words. All right, so let me play this real quick. All right, so it's very important we get the message across because, all right, the hopeful elect, the household of faith is going to lean upon their staff, okay, which is your faith, to make shit happen, to make an escape, to make doors open, okay, bring judgment upon the enemy, move mountains, as the scriptures say, you know. So this, you know, this is not for everybody, you know, okay. Scriptures talk about binding the things on earth, how you can bind them in heaven, you know. And also, Isaiah, the 44th chapter, the Most High confirmeth the word of his prophets. You got to really believe, all right, that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. It speaks about that in the book of Hebrews. Okay, but let's, all right, and the Lord's going to reward us, okay, as far as our faith can go. You know what I'm saying? Okay, like the Lord told, Pilate, you know, when he was getting ready to be crucified, look, I don't necessarily have to even be here, bro, and do this. Okay, but, you know, I'm following the will of my Father. Otherwise, I could call down a legion of angels to come down here and destroy Rome, okay? You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're doing, okay? We're making our bodies a living sacrifice, okay, which is the ultimate, okay, loyalty, the ultimate, okay, the ultimate test, okay, to sacrifice what we want, okay, for what Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai wants. So let's get started real quick. 1 second.
They comfort you, you know, minister unto you, so to speak.
Got that Bluetooth on.
You know, it look like you talking to yourself, but you really there chopping it up with an angel of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And they telling you, oh, we going to get you out of here. Don't even worry about it. It's a test. You know, they were locked up a few times, and they were bust out. Vessel. He's just a pawn on the board game. All right, he's just a piece that the Lord is using. It says you will suffer for 10 days, but if you remain faithful, even when facing death, I will give you the crown of life. So if we remain faithful, even when we're facing death, so you locked up and they saying, listen, you know, we gonna kill you if you don't give up this person, if you don't stop believing, if you don't take this chip, excuse me, we gonna kill you. You know, or we not gonna feed you, shit like that. We gonna let you.
Maybe we interject while we right here, and I'm gonna read the script. But let me just say, there was an instance because I didn't expect doing the whole 90 days. You know, I thought I was gonna be able to get out early. You know, I didn't even get a response. I wrote a letter to the people in the jail, never got one response. I ended up doing like 85 days or something like that. But so I was kind of like, Lord, what's going on? So I was in the, they let us lock us up in this room. If you want to watch TV, they got a vending machine and shit. You locked in here with all these degenerates. I just get my workout in and watch TV, kind of beating myself. But certain people talk to me, whatever. Well, this one guy, I don't know why he said this. He thought he was being funny, a Negro, because he was talking to a Mexican dude, and I know why, because I didn't really fuck with him like that. But he thought he was being funny, but little did he know he was speaking to me through the spirit. And he thought I didn't hear him, but he said, yeah, he the only one, he the only one in here that's here willfully. You know what I'm saying? He don't even have to be here. You know what I'm saying? He could bust out of here whatever time he get ready. I guess because I was, I do my shadow boxing and, I do my push-ups and shit. So, niggas are niggas. They just in there talking and shooting the shit and all that. So he thought he was being funny. The other dude laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. Them niggas was hating or whatever, but they knew they wouldn't fuck with me though. But it kind of made me grieved in the spirit, because I'm like, Lord, why can't I get out of here early then? Like, why can't I literally physically bust out of here then? Because I had a dream that I got out. And when you lock down and you have a dream that you made it out the back door, it's nothing like it. You wake up like really stressing, like, damn, that felt good. I wish that was real. So I got grieved when I heard him that, not at what he said, but the fact that I'm locked down. If I'm one of the elect, Lord, then why the fuck, But then, another spirit came over me that comforted me, like, oh, maybe that's for the next time you get locked up. You know what I'm saying? Let me get the scripture, And Peter himself was, bound up, thrown in jail, and the angel came through, unshackled him, okay, caused an earthquake, knocked the gates open and had niggas afraid and bowing down to Peter. Okay, and he walked up out the jail. Peter thought he was hallucinating or dreaming. You know what I'm saying? He had to wipe his eyes a few times, and it was happening. And even when he went and met with the rest of the followers of Yahushua when he left the jail, he was at the gate, trying to get in. They was like, no, that can't be him. Ain't he locked up? But let's get this. This is Revelations, because I want to condense this and just hit the points. Okay, this is Revelations 2:10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. Okay, meaning tested. All right, and who's testing you? Yahushua, man. Okay, we're bearing our cross. Okay, the scriptures say the devil is, all right, the man, all right, the so-called Edomite, the wicked, the so-called white man, his rulership. Okay, we're under his empire, this wicked system. Okay, he cometh after the workings of Satan, pertaining to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. Well, the scriptures say that the Lord tempteth no man. All right, but Satan is used as a tool, okay, to draw you out, to see what you're gonna do. Not only that, but he entices the flesh. And temptation can come about through the flesh, because the flesh wants to be comfortable. The flesh wants things to be easy. Okay, the flesh wants to laugh and feast and party, wants everything to be good. Okay, but we're called to overcome the flesh. Okay, it says the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. So we know that the Most High is going to send, okay, his left hand to try us out, to test us, whether or not we really be in the faith, whether or not we really believe that this testimony is 100%, okay, the way to go. Okay, whether or not we really believe that Yahweh Bashim Shai, Yahweh the Father, is really who he is, man. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days, and that's just a number of completion. It could be 3 days, it could be a day, it could be a month. Tribulation. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. See, even unto death. And I'm gonna bring out some scriptures. I'm gonna play the rest of this video, but let me get the testimonies out the way. I'm gonna condense it. From the moment I went into county jail, when I was in line getting processed, I had a dude who asked me, was I from Hoover? Because I had some orange on my shorts. But the way he asked me, he had a bold smile on his face, like a friendly smile, like more like, oh, I know he from Hoover, because he was talking to somebody else. Hey, he from Hoover. Huh? So when I decided to turn around and answer him, you know, he was like friendly about it. Like, hey man, you from Hoover? Like if I was gonna say yeah, like hey man, like you know, like in that spirit, and that kind of pissed me off. But it wasn't hostile. It was like, oh, I know he gonna be from Hoover because he got that orange on his shorts. You know, I had a dude that gravitated to me instantly when I first went in there, like and I could tell he was about that life. He in and out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I felt like I knew the dude already. You know what I'm saying? For a minute, and so that was the homie. People gravitated towards me, and then I'm skipping around. I was supposed to be on a level 7. I forget what number, but where niggas is, for one, it's like 100 niggas in one room on these metal steel bunks. It's politics. When I first got lined up to go to that tier, that higher level tier, they had a nigga strapped down, walking contrary, like coming out, saying, yeah, nigga, we fucking up all Hoovers. Nigga, we getting down. This nigga was like in a straitjacket. So I'm thinking, fuck, I'm about to have to, get down. So I'm like kind of like working on my posture, make sure my hips is activated, my quads, everything, relax, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And as everybody's being brought in the building, the officer cut off like 3 people before me and said, all right, no, y'all going over there. So this was still bugged out because it was 100 niggas in this room. You know what I'm saying? Niggas fighting in the back in the bathroom, whatever. But pretty much everyone left me alone. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to get out early, so I'm like, all right, well, let me figure out what I can do to get. There's a tier you could go to if you you want to get out early. Okay, you got to do cafeteria work. But the good thing about that, you get one real meal. Okay, with that. And you get a breakfast, you get to eat breakfast and all that shit, take extra food and shit while you're there. So I'm like, let me go there. So they moved me. They finally responded. They moved me to that tier. Oh man, a lot of shit was happening, bro. It was just a lot of the Lord showing me back to back. What I'm trying to say, the Lord is not going to, that's why I said even unto death. I didn't know if I was going to pick up an extra charge in there. You niggas fucking around or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is the Spirit actively showed me to comfort me that the Lord was with me, because I had this one, from the time I walked into the new tier, I had to share a bunk, a room with this one Mexican, and all his homies was constantly coming into the room where that dude, he like, hey bro, I got all the snacks back here, bro. Whenever you get ready, you just grab, Usually they don't do that, because of politics. So that was one. And then I remember one day, I'm condensing shit, how it went. Some guy kept staring at me, we kept locking eyes with each other. I'm like, man, what the fuck, this nigga? So finally, he got the courage to come to me, because he was standing right out in front of my cell and act like he talking to the other dudes, but he keep making eye contact. And so finally he came in and he said, hey, bro, hey, man, I just got to let you know, man. It's like a beam of energy is coming down from the roof on top of your head. He asked me to come into his cell. Hey, man, so from then forth, like, I swear, I thought he was a secret disciple of Great Millstone, because, it's too much. I don't want to go into it. I brought it out before. Maybe I'll do a separate video. But what transpired from me, having to give him some Hebrew prayers, and I'm telling you, like, he just jailed. I thought he was a brother. I'm like, wow. That fell apart. He did some slick shit, whatever. Like a week later, and the Lord ended up sending him off to a sane asylum. No lie. Come to find out, he was trying to get protection from me, because he looked like a mixed black kid, but he signed up with the Mexicans. So now he got to do politics. He was trying to use me to get protection from them. And when it all came out, the niggas he was trying to get protection from was with me, dropping me off shit in my, hey, neighbor, shot callers, and neighbor, you can have this, neighbor, just bringing me shit, annoying me, like, I'm thinking like, damn, I'll beat this nigga ass if I want it. Not trying to sound hard, but this dude's a shot caller, neighbor. And this dude was scared of them. So come long story short, he tried to play me to, like, try to get out of what he had to do with them, the politics. And they was coming to me. And these niggas was demons. you know? And the last bit of him, when I found that out, what he was doing, and he kind of showed me some attitude, the nigga stayed in his cell for like 3 days, making paper crosses, drawing crosses everywhere, and looking bugged out with his eyes wide open. He couldn't even look me in. He wouldn't even do his work and go to the cafeteria no more. And when he did have to walk by, he was tall, so he would look straight forward with his head up. And then he just completely bugged out. And I remember at like 2 a.m. one morning, they came and got him out. And I asked the next day what happened to him. Yeah, they was taking him to like, for mental, like to a mental institution. Okay, because one of the shot callers that same day, before he got taken away, told him, hey, homie, hey, you got this motherfucker like a grave, bro. Because he told them that he was seeing demons. And the dude, one of the shot callers that he was running from, that he was beefing with the whole situation, was like, hey, homie, bro, you don't need to do this, like, make all these crosses, bro. All you need to do is have some faith. And I'm sitting there listening like, damn, what the fuck? This dude's a complete demon. This dude ain't even, oh, man, I got so many signs, bro, like, in there. I'm talking about gangster crip niggas that knocking niggas' eye sockets out is, like, trying to convince me to fuck with him and be the homie, acting like he ain't even with none of that. Nigga tats on his face. Show me a whole nother version of him, I have to come back on that, bro. But what I'm trying to say, hey, the Lord he gonna show you, bro. He gonna show you that he's with you up in there, bro. There was a couple niggas like killers in there that I'm glad I gave myself, I was more patient, and I didn't actually, do too much. Because prior to me speaking to these guys, I thought they were homosexuals. Because when I would come around, when we'd have to come around each other, they put their head down and they had like a nervous smile, and they totally stayed away from me. But the longer I was in there, I said, okay, let me humble down, because I had more of a standoff personality. I got to remain my frame. I don't know who these niggas, But it wasn't, I wasn't being hard or nothing. It's just, I was with the Lord. I couldn't trim my ways really, but I was also being humble too, But you know how people view us, the Spirit of the Lord be with us, and I said I was glad because once I got to know these guys, I remember a couple of them. Okay, one dude did 15 years and the other dude was an active blood member, which I think, man, he's, all this, he was a faggot, man. But this one nigga, once I got to know him and he got comfortable with me, and he was hella institutionalized. I could tell he was really with that. He's the originator of the Long Beach Baby Insane. Big LB tat on his, he had just got through doing 15 years. It got out for 6 months and then came back and was, he was going to get out again, but he had to do some more time because he got in trouble again. But it showed me like, damn, the Spirit of the Lord had this nigga. You had to let him in your space. All right, for him to get comfortable for you to even see in that man's eyes by talking to him that no, he was a real killer. I could tell you some crazy shit about old dude, and I know he wasn't lying. But prior to that, the dude, he would have a nervous grin, all right, to the point where I thought he was like a real soft, bitch ass nigga. I would literally look at him like with my nose come to bitch ass nigga. Not like I was trying to be hard, but it's like a lion. Hey, the righteous are as bold as a lion. Hey, and that was the Spirit the Lord gave me. And I'm not trying to sound hard, because at any time, hey, the Lord created the wicked for the day of evil. I'm not the baddest guy in there, but the Spirit was showing me, so let's get back. I had to throw that in there. Let's get back, and I want to bring some scriptures.
Or we not going to feed you. Shit like that. We going to let you starve to death. They're threatening your life.
And I got to say this. The reason how I know I wasn't trying to be tough, and I don't want to give that out there, because we ain't going to have to be tough. The Lord said, be still. Okay? He's going to fight our battles. Okay? Is because I was more worried about, man, I can't act gangster in here, man. I got to, I'm a Hebrew. I'm an Israelite. And then I was worried about, niggas gonna think shit is sweet or they gonna think it's sweet, so, I'm like, nah, I just gotta be myself. So it was like the Lord putting battery in me. It's kind of like I didn't see what other people saw, and as long as you stay in your frame of the Spirit, it's kind of like when the Lord said, don't think, where's that in Matthews, think not on what you should say, because I'm gonna put the words in your mouth. That's exactly what was happening up in there. Okay, let's read that again because I want to make a point. I want this to be quick. This is Revelations 2:10. Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulations 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. And still, even in death, okay, the Lord said, fight for the truth unto the death, and I will have, and I shall fight for you, meaning that you're not going to have just a ordinary death. Even in the sight of men, it might be, we got him, but the Lord is going to do something, either possess you to where you're hell of excited, and, and the spirit of joy comes upon you. Okay. And it bugs the enemy out, or turn off your pain receptors, or not even give them the benefit of having satisfaction of tormenting you. You might just take your spirit, give up the ghost, So let me get this scripture 1 second. And we're not worried about that, because the test is actually to overcome the spirit of fear. He has not given us the spirit of fear. Okay. And we got to overcome death, because if we call ourselves the sons and daughters of the Most High, okay, our true origin was never to die, man. We being a Yasha Alite, the prince of the power, was never to taste death. That's not a real God. But as it says in Psalms 82, ye are gods, but ye shall die as men. That's part of our punishment. And we're just now, okay, the Lord is starting to shine his face upon us again. Okay, he's having mercy on us. In times past, we had fallen away. We were in captivity. We were brought into slavery in this country. Downtrodden, we didn't know who we were. Okay, but let's get 1 Thessalonians 4:17. So even unto death, there's still an escape, which we know the majority of the elect, we always say this, is going to escape. They're not going to taste death. But there's certain chosen individuals, we don't know who we are, who the Most High is, chosen, hand-picked, okay? Because he's not going to give you more than you can handle, where he's groomed these men or these women to actually be a testator. As it says in Hebrews, that a testimony is really not valid unless the testator is willing to die for it. And this is the truth, which doesn't need chaser. And we are the chaser. We're chasing truth, trying to find ourselves on the right side of prophecy. So some of us will be handpicked to go ahead and go through that. Like, all right, son, all right, here, all right, daughter, you're strong enough for this. I need the enemy to witness this. Okay, and that's going to put more fear in the enemy. Okay, then we which are alive and remain, okay, 1 second. Let's start at 14. But let me find something real quick. Okay, this is 1 Thessalonians 4:14. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua, okay, will Yahweh Bashem Yahushua bring with him. Okay, so we got in Revelations 2:10, even unto death, if you get carted into prison and you don't get delivered, which there's going to be individuals of the elect that's going to get delivered right up out of there. You just going to be tried. The Lord going to test your faith. He going to test your resolve. Okay, he going to see, are you fit for Isaiah 4:1? He going to see whether or not you really bearing your cross, or you got a breaking point. Okay, you got a, like these women, they all got a price, right? You're going to see whether or not you got a price, Are you going to bail out, or you going to lose faith? Okay, then you're going to get delivered. Okay, but those handpicked to go ahead, and you might get beheaded while you in there. Okay, so this is why we're reading this. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, on the third day, there is a very high significance in that, okay? In that, like Elder Yashuamba always says, if you believe in the resurrection, then there should be nothing able to stop you, because there is no death. Okay, that was a test in itself. Yahushua went all the way through, and he believed that the Father would quicken him back to life on the third day into that new body. And see, like Paul said, he said, we're going to get that. We have bodies in heaven. But see, the thing about, when you translate to the other side, you have your celestial body. But see what the Heavenly Father did to his son and what he's getting ready to do to us. Okay, all of us, even those who remain and escape and not taste of death, you still got to be changed when the Lord returns at a twinkling of an eye, pertaining to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. He's going to mix those heavenly bodies, those bodies that are able to dwell in the fourth dimension outside of this third dimension, and merge them with this third dimensional body we have now. And that's how we're going to be immortals. We're going to be able to tap in both realms and enjoy the fruits of life as a paradise, because we won't even need to eat to live. Okay? When we drink, we ain't going to get no hangover. We're going to get supercharged. We're going to have new bodies. Okay? So if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them which sleep in Yahushua will Yahweh bring with him. So I always say this. If you do got to go, okay, the Lord calls you back to the spirit realm. All right, son, I need you to be a testator for this testimony. Okay, a martyr just means a witness. I need you to witness this truth unto death. I need you to show them that not even death can stop you. That's how adamant that this is the truth. Okay? He said he's going to make our foreheads harder against theirs as an adamant stone. However hard our enemies are, we're going to be harder against them, man. Okay? Well, it says, even so them also which sleep, because we're not going to die. It's like likened unto sleep. And Yahushua will Yahushua bring with him. So we're in the season where the Lord's going to return. So like I always say, you got to think about spiritual time in contrast to this earthly time. 1,000 years to, there was a brother who calculated this, years ago. I'm surprised I didn't save it. 1,000 years to us is a day to the Most High, because in the heavens, it's like this. They're not bound by time, but to us, we're bound by time. We gotta deal with a 60-minute, 60-minute hour, 60-second minute, unless the Lord, sometime he'll tap in and out and cheat. He'll deal and come, he'll break those laws of physics, all right, to create miracles, all right, of course. But so it's gonna be like, how you might be on your lunch break and you so tired, you take a nap, and then you wake up like exactly on the dot, and you're like, whew, man, I'm glad I didn't go past lunch. I didn't even mean to fall asleep. That's how it's gonna be. You're gonna come back with the chariots, man. You're gonna come back already in your new body. Okay? Because they talk about this the Christians, when you die, you go to a purgatory, you wait in the middle, and you're in a waiting room, and then your number got to get called. No, you're going to open your eyes, and you're going to be coming back. Okay. What the world ignorantly calls a UFO invasion. You're going to be with the Lord at his return. Okay. In your new body, ready to get busy. Okay. Let's read the rest of this. 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain, those of us who don't taste death. Okay, the majority of the elect is not we're going to see the salvation completely. We're going to see all the plagues. And those who do go to sleep, okay, we're going to have the capability to rewind everything and see how it plays out. When it's all said and done. So you're not going to miss anything anyway. Okay, and your legacy is going to be even greater in the kingdom. Like, damn, he was one of them. He took death rather than be a traitor to the kingdom. Then the Lord, my bad, where were we at? 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord. So we're saying this by the word of the Lord. This is the Lord's word. Not everybody's going to believe this. Do you believe that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them that sleep? Yeah. So even though, certain elect are not going to, you're going to make it through all them troubles. You're not going to taste death. You're going to get out of all kind of shit. You're going to be in the midst of it. You're going to go through some shit that's going to make your head spin. Okay, but guess what? The Lord's going to ultimately deliver you out of all of them. Hey, the righteous will scarcely be saved, meaning barely, because the Lord is going to set things up to where you got to be approved through your faith. You got to show your faith, man. And it's going to get easier and easier. Okay, the more you go through, the more you make it out. Okay, so we got to, just prepare for the major blow and then try to weather the storm, and then it's going to get easier and easier. That's why I said in that jail, I really didn't even give you everything, bro. Shit, I could tell you some more shit and be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But we'll have to come back, and do a testimonial. Let's finish this. Okay, so we can't prevent them. those who don't die, you're not going to prevent them because they're going to come back before you. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet. Brrr, like in that movie Independence Day, when that great big father ship, cracked the clouds. That's how the Lord is coming back. Matter of fact, they took that from the scriptures. Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, this scripture and many others. Okay. And the trump of Yahweh, Bashim Al-Shai, and the dead in Yahweh Shai shall rise first. See? So, technically, what this is saying, because your spirit is going to go back to the spirit realm. This is when the flesh, because how are you going to rise if you're already in the spirit realm? Like Paul was stoned to death and the Most High decided to bring him back. Okay. His spirit went to the spirit realm. He said that he felt it was unlawful for him to even speak of how grandeur it was when he crossed over. But the Lord said, nah, you got more work to do. Put him back in the body. And then he got up, they were surprised, So what this is saying that, okay, and the dead in Yahweh shall rise first. I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians 15. See, your spirit, okay, you're going to be in your heavenly body, but the Most High is going to merge. He's going to rematerialize your fleshly body. It don't matter if you was cremated. It's just going to be a miracle. Like, you're just going to see these bodies appear. Okay, that's why it says in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and you should be changed of a twinkling of an eye when the Lord returns. You'll be caught up. Okay, beam me up, Scotty. In that beam, you're going to see men that were dead. You're going to see their bodies come back intact. And that's when you're going to have that new body. Okay. Shall rise first. Okay. So those who, when the missiles get shot off and the elect is being beamed up, okay, to be protected from the missiles, from the fire. All right. The lake of fire. Then, those who are dead in Yahushua, you're going to see people being risen up that were dead first. Okay. And the righteous will scarcely be saved. You're going to be praying, Lord, please, get me too. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. So they're going to have first dibs, which they're already going to be, as it said, they're already going to come back with the Lord, as we got in the 14th verse. You see? The clouds are the chariots to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. You see, wherefore comfort one another with these words. Not every man and woman are going to believe this, So this is the gift that we believe it and we know, okay? Knowledge to know. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge and wisdom. It was something I was going to get. Let me get that. Where Peter talked about, he spoke about having a body. I forget where it's at. How there's a body laid up for him in heaven. I'm not going to get it. I'm just roughly paraphrase what he said, because he was ready to go. He was like, man, I've finished my course. I'm not even afraid. I got a body, meaning that, you got a celestial and you got a physical body. The 1 Corinthians, let's get it. So those who remain, hey, you're going to have to put off the flesh anyway. Let's get it. You're not going to go up in those chariots when you get beamed up. Okay. You're going to have to put off like Elijah and who else? Enoch was translated. They were beamed up. They didn't even die. They didn't get old and die or something happened and die. They were just a chariot came through and beamed them up from the wickedness that was going on. So they were translated. Okay. It says, where is it at? Flesh and blood shall not inherit. Where's that at? Damn, flesh and blood shall not inherit the kingdom. It's probably here, but I'm trying to condense this. Let's just get this. This is 40, 1 Corinthians 15 and 40. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial. So it gave you both. A star is a celestial body. The so-called white men say, oh, it's just a bright light that fizzled out millions of years ago, but now we're just now seeing it because it's light years away. Those are actual celestial bodies. Those are particular bodies the Heavenly Father gave them. Just like these bodies we have, in a different form, in different elements. They're made up of different elements. But then you got spirits. The Lord said he maketh his angels You know, his ministers, his angels, likened unto a fiery flame. And there's different types of light, plasma, concentrated fire, lasers, you know. That's what the angels are. And they can manipulate the elements. And we're going to be greater than the angels when we get these bodies, man. One angel can destroy a planet, man. Okay, so celestial is that fourth dimensional body. Okay. Just like these planets are celestial bodies. And bodies terrestrial, meaning terrain. The root word is terrain, terrestrial meaning from the earth. But the glory of the celestial is one and the glory of the terrestrials is another. So when you die, you don't just blacken out and you don't, just done forever. No, your spirit, biblical reincarnation is you come back every third, fourth generation. But then you have a pagan reincarnation, which is bugged out. It's not the truth. Okay. So we're going to be merged, okay, all in one. You see, it says, I'm skipping a lot. All of this goes into it. 52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. You see, we already spoke about the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. Yeah, because these bodies are corruptible. They die, they get scars, they get sick, they get old. Okay. So we're going to be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. See, for this corruption must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Yeah, these bodies, weak bodies, these chains of darkness pertaining to the book of Jude. Yeah, we got to get rid of these. So whether you sleep or not, even the elect that remain, you're going to be changed when you're taken up into those ships. You see that? 56. Let's start 55. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? And this is what the Lord is testing us on. Where is, the sting of death is sin. It's just a sting. All right, when you're in the Lord. Okay, but where's your victory? The Lord is asking a question. Okay, it shouldn't have any victory over you. This is the test, whether you remain or not. Because certain individuals, the Lord know, okay, yeah, that's why, count it all, happiness when you catch hell, as the scriptures say, because really the Lord could be setting you up to remain. Okay, because you're proving yourself every time you catch hell, very, like intense hardships, and you pass those tests, you're showing the Lord that no matter what, okay, you're going to stay down. Okay. But thanks 57 be to Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, which giveth us the victory through Yahweh Shai. So bearing our cross, okay, is, how we're going to get this victory, man. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. All of it is a part of the work. The word abound means to overflow or to overcome. And anything's possible. All is possible through the omnipotent power, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, having all power. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, you see? So let's get, let's see what we was holding right here. I'm gonna open my Bible, so I'm not gonna use my phone app. Let me open my Bible real quick and get this scripture. Shit, man. Damn, what I do with the Bible that quick? That's crazy work. That's Satan, man. What the fuck? It was right here. One second, bear with me, man. Oh, here it is. I have some highlights. Let's get Psalms 44. Okay. Psalms 44. Okay. 1 second. And it says, children, enter. Okay. Psalms 45 and 15. Okay. With gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought. They shall enter into the king's palace. Instead of thy fathers Okay, instead of thy fathers shall be thy children. What is it speaking about? Okay, with gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought, the hopeful elect. Okay, all of these worries, you worry about your children, your mother, you know, um, certain people you love, mainly the elect, and the Lord will have mercy on certain people we really care about if they, you know, if it's His will. Okay, instead of thy fathers shall be thy children. So that our children represent us, especially our children, man, whether they live or die. It says, instead of thy father shall thy children, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth. This is dealing with, that salvation, even that deliverance, even that changing of bodies, It says, so we're going to make, a king is a ruler. Okay, a kingdom is a rulership. It needs a king. So we're going to be kings and priests. We're going to make all of our children, princes. They're going to inherit the throne through us. So there is no loss. What I'm trying to say is the end for us is a perfect ending. It's paradise, and it's not supposed to be understood by these people. It's not supposed to be seen by something tangible. Okay, the just shall walk by faith, not by sight, So we ain't got to sit up here and come with a 5-year plan and prepping and go training at the gun range. We don't need to prep. We know that all the heavy lifting will be done by Shema Shai. Thus saith the word, man. Okay? Miracle. It's not something you can see. It's something that you're going to believe in, bro. Instead of, it says, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth. So no matter what the enemy does to try to, break us or whatever, okay, this is what the Lord said. Okay, we're going to make our children princes. Right now, bro, you be worried about your children. You damn near don't want to have no children because you don't want to bring them into this wicked world. Okay, things are getting tougher. You worry about them. Okay, I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. You see, that's what you call heavy lifting. That's prophecy that hasn't taken place yet. Okay, and these prophecies, the fact that we have this truth, this word, this understanding, okay, we're being risen up already. The process has already started. Okay, let's get Job. Oh yeah, that's 2 Corinthians 5 and 1 through 10. That's where Paul spoke about having that body in the spirit realm. We're gonna skip through that. Let me get Job 5:24 real quick. Damn, I'm making all these lessons long, man. Okay, and thou shalt know. Well, let's start here at 18. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. Now let's start at 17. Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. And that's what this is all about. When you get mature in this thing, you start to understand this is not to destroy us. See, the Heavenly Father, he's in another realm. He's, the way you chasten and correct your children here is with the rod. You spank them, you put them on punishment. Okay, the whole earth is ours. The whole creation was created for our sake. So it's going to be a different chastening. It's going to be character building. Our flaws are going to be purged away. One of the main flaws we have in these chains of darkness, these bodies, is the fear of death, sudden fear, and all that different stuff. The Lord said, be not afraid of sudden fear. Okay, He's going to purge us and correct us by sticking us right in the middle of this shit. And we're going to understand it on the other side, But he's in authority of all of these things. That's why I said, behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh corrected. You got to have understanding. Therefore, despise not the chastening of the Almighty. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. He woundeth, and his hands maketh whole. So we're going to go through these seasons where we're going to be sore. We're going to be bound up. We're going to be wounded in spirit. Okay, but it's in his power also. And his hands maketh whole, meaning complete. Okay, heal you just like that. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7. Okay, there shall no evil touch thee. The word evil means bad times. And those 6 troubles represent Jacob's trouble. All the different things that the individuals of the elect, which are going to be different things. Okay, you on your own, many members, one body. Every man or woman going to have their own walk in this thing. At the same time, Okay, we all having tribulation, but you're gonna have your particular test here and there outside of the MOTB. Okay, you're gonna overcome all of that. You're gonna abound all of that. Okay, but the insurance policy is those new bodies. Okay, just imagine if all fails. Okay, you got the best insurance. You know, you get everything right back, built back better. Okay, spiritually speaking, you know. That's why I brought out, you know, the aspect of being changed and being caught up, you know, with the Lord. Okay. So these 6 troubles, yea, and 7, there shall no evil touch thee. Those missiles is that last trump, that 7th plague, the last plague, the completion of this thing. Okay. It says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Does this mean you're not going to experience this? Okay, you're not going to see all the violence and the murder, the famine, the disease? Yes. And you're going to have faith. You're going to have to maintain your way before the Lord. Like Job said, though he slay me, yet will I maintain my way before him. Okay, you don't have any choice. Okay, you drop your staff, your support, your faith, and run off. Okay, now you're up for the wolves, man. Okay, all you have to do is continue to pray and believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay, be more earnest in your prayers, more direct, more you know, when you're close bonded with someone, you know, like you have a close bond with someone where you could tell them things, your inner, you know, you're more intimate, you know. You got to be like that with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It says, and there's power in that, man. Okay, and the Lord will show you. Okay, following that, you know, you might be dealing with something, and you really serious. You go into the Lord, and He'll show you. Okay, He'll put a residue. He'll give you like more a heavier portion of the Spirit on you, and you'll notice like, damn, this really works. You know, it says, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of the destruction when it cometh. Yeah, we're not gonna be afraid of destruction because we ready for the Lord to come get us, man. Okay, the scourge of the tongue, I mean, we gonna be in the midst of motherfuckers lying on us, wanting to kill us, all that shit. Okay, but there's deliverance in all of it. All grounds are covered. You just gotta maintain the faith. Okay, you can't lose faith. You can't lose sight. Okay. The just shall walk by faith and not by sight. You can't lose the spiritual sight, bro. Okay, what the Lord said, okay, you know, you got to still remember the prophecies. You might be getting ready to be executed, and what the Lord said, okay, we're going to be caught up with him. All right, well, new bodies, here I come. Okay, this means that I'm getting ready to, you know, we're going to take these nations into slaves. That's all I think about is getting Esau, okay, and putting him in chains and tormenting his ass, man. Okay, that leads you a step closer to that. You're gonna open your eyes with a slave in your gut, you know, in a chain, man. Okay. It says, and thou shalt know, it says, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Okay, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Okay, and like I told you, it's gonna get easier and easier. It might start off like, oh shit, what I'm gonna do? Okay, you know, my job fired me, you know, because this thing it's getting ready to get bad out here. They're gonna push the MOTB. You know, you might even get sick. The Lord might allow you to get a pestilence to see if you're gonna lose faith. Okay, just as a warm up. Okay, but it's gonna get easier and easier. It's gonna get to the point where, okay, and at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth, wild animals, mountain lion. You know, you're gonna know that, damn, the Lord delivered me out of this, out of that. I didn't even think I was gonna make it out of that. Shit, I had one of them killer drones following me, and then I just disappeared. You know, like it was in the jailhouse for me, man. You know. And I'm not saying, I even had a time where I've been shot at. I always give that testimony. There's certain things that got me, but hey, you still got to be humble. You still got to walk in the spirit, because if you let Satan entice you to come out of the spirit and be carnal minded, it could be a trap. Whatever, thing invokes your emotions to be hasty and just act without staying in the spirit and thinking things through and meditating on what the Lord said to do. Okay, you could be snared into a trap where Satan will lure you out, and then you don't have that hedge, which ultimately, that's why you got to be praying that the Lord deliver you from temptation. So just in case that happens, okay, the Lord will give you some wiggle room. He'll have mercy and grace. Okay, bring you back, and then you learn from that. Like, all right, don't do that again. Whew. You know, just like when Peter denied the Lord, he thought he would never deny the Lord. But when the Lord got snatched up, he denied the Lord, just like the Lord told him. But then the Lord had mercy on him. Okay, because it came upon him suddenly. All right, and he was just in his emotion. He was in the flesh. But you best believe he went back and said that'll never happen again. That was a good learning lesson, Okay, and he finished the ministry. He completed the ministry unto death. Okay. 24, and thou shalt know that thy tabernacle should be in peace. And thou shalt visit thy habitation and shall not sin. And even in death, you're going to be in peace. There's going to be some kind of way where you're going to have peace. You tell me how that works. Okay, we got examples of that. Stephen, Paul, many examples, shall be in peace. You got certain men that were brought back from the dead and didn't even know that when they died, they were going to come back from the dead. Okay, via the prophets, so that, hey, the Lord's going to outdo himself this time around. Let's get Isaiah 49:20 real quick. I'm gonna read it out of my Bible, and then we about to wrap it up. Oh, 9 and 20. Okay. The children which thou shalt have after thou hast lost the others shall say again in thine ears, the place is too straight for me. This place is too straight for me. Okay, give place to me that I may dwell. Then shalt thou say in thine heart, thy mind, okay, who hath begotten me these, seeing I have lost my children and am desolate, a captive and removing to and fro. And who hath brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been? Hey, a perfect ending. You getting ready to look up, and everything you thought you lost is gonna be right there. I mean, to the point where it say your children gonna be like, man, like, give us something, and we're gonna have plenty to give, a major legacy to leave to our children, man. Okay. 1 second. 19, for thy waste in thy desolate places and the land of thy destruction shall even be too narrow by reason of inhabitants. Yeah, so the land that we're going to get back, that's going to even be too small for us. We're going to have abundance, man. Our heart's desire. And they that swallowed thee up shall be far away. And our enemies not going to have anything. They're going to be under our dominion. We're going to have our way with them. And this is also going into reincarnation. Your enemies. So it's not the end be all. You might be looking your enemy in the face. Okay, you got to remain the faith. Okay, and just know what the Lord said. He said that, that which has been shall be, and that which shall be has already been. Like, okay, you're going to get vengeance. You're going to get vengeance on this side. The Lord going to get vengeance. You're going to get it. And in the kingdom, those spirits are coming back. Okay, so there is no loss in this thing. Everything will be given back 100-fold, as the Lord said. Okay. 1 second. Let's get this last scripture. Isaiah 60:4. So you can't be trying to hold on to shit. He that seek to save his life shall lose it, and he that willfully, give up his life for Yahushua, you shall find it, and you shall, gain it. You got guys right now, bro. You see, some guys are not in the right spirit. Of course, you're going to have, if you got a woman in the family and all that, bro, we don't really know until the chip is pushed. We don't know who's who. We're making our calling and election sure, hoping that we're of that number. You got to be selfish with your salvation and know the Lord is faithful to not, to even understand and know that your little ones, your wife, whatever, okay, he got them, even if you're separated from them. Okay, you might get them on the back end. Okay, he might need you to go and complete your mission. Okay, take care of them, even if that means taking them out. because a lot of people are going to take that chip. And if they take that chip, they're not going to attain that first resurrection. Okay, when we get beamed up, you'll see them in the kingdom. Okay, when they're reincarnated into a new body. But, so that might be an option. But you got to be cool, whatever. Or you might, he might preserve them, have you away from them. Watch you go through that, test you. Okay, you pass the test. Okay, you remain faithful. Okay, you going to meet back up with him on the chariot or before the chariot. Okay. That's why the Lord said you got to have like a childlike mind. You got to have childlike faith. They believe anything is possible. Okay. It says, Isaiah 60:4, lift them thine eyes round about and see all they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. Okay, then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged. You're going to be like, whoa. That's like you be, like a homeless person hitting a lotto for 100 million. And, that's a bad illustration compared to what we're going to get in the kingdom. But it's like, am I awake right now? Well, I can't believe this. And thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The sea represents the people. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee, even our enemies. All of these world nations that have all these resources, minerals, $1 trillion, trillions of wealth. All of that's going to be converted over to us. And all the things we lost, all our children, the things you worried about now, you're going to receive 100-fold. Anything you got to sacrifice now. Okay. So yeah, we're going to wrap it up right there, man. Lord's willing, it was edifying. Lord's willing, it was exhorting. And with that, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Till next time, shalom.